What's happening, cat daddies and foxy mamas? It's the Blaxploitation fanatic back with another episode of the Blaxploitation Appreciation Podcast, where we celebrate Blaxploitation culture from movies to music to books and everything in between. So let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. And today, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Y'all know I'll usually start with the movie, then move to the book, and then to the music. But today, we're actually starting with the books. And our book for this week is a series called The Black Samurai. Just look at those covers, man. They are freaking awesome. And The Black Samurai is an 8-book series written by Marc Olden between 1974 and 1975. Books 1 through 5 were in 1 year, 1974. Book 6 through 8 was 1975. And this series came from Signet Books. So first time in a while that we haven't had a Holloway House book. Out of the 8 books, I'll be transparent with you. I've only read book 1 and book 6. Now you may say, why did you jump from 1 to 6? I'll talk about that in a minute. But the book 1 lays out the origin story of the Black Samurai. And basically what happens is he's out to avenge the death of his master, Kanuma. How did he get hooked up with a samurai all together? He was over in Japan and military. He was at a bar or something like that. And when he was leaving, he saw this old Japanese man getting harassed by 3 white officers and so he kind of jumped in to help protect the old man and got beat down. But then the old man beat down the 3 people. And when he woke up, he was in the care of the old man, found out he was a samurai, trained him and all that good stuff. But in the beginning of book 1, they kind of give you that backstory, but they also lay out there's a raid on the samurai village and all of his samurai brothers, including his master, gets killed. And so he's out to avenge the death. So that's the origin story. Jump over to book 6, and book 6 is he is tracking down this kind of weird sick pedophile, or not pedophile, but real sick freako, almost, I mean, in light of what we're dealing with today, almost like a Jeffrey Epstein kind of guy. In book 6. So, and the reason I started with the books is because book 6 is what the Black Samurai movie was based off of, which we're going to get to shortly. But book 6 is called The Warlock. Let me get out of the way so you can see it. The Warlock is book 6. Now, the thing about the Black Samurai books, if I take you back to the Headhunter series about the Detroit cops and how I said it was gruesomely violent, the Black Samurai series is extremely violent as well. And I mean, I know that was kind of indicative of a lot of the pulp fiction from the 1970s, the men's adventure paperbacks. But this one, man, when they describe some of the violence and the use of the martial arts tools, it is extremely gory and violent. It's like crazy. The nice thing, let me show you a picture of my man, the author. That's Marc Olden. And he also wrote a series called The Narc. But he wrote it under a pen name or pseudonym of Robert Hawks. So that was a men's adventure series in the 70s as well. So Narc was pretty cool. But one of the awesome things about Marc Olden, is he held advanced degree black belts in Aikido and karate, it says. So, what he was writing about in the Black Samurai series is stuff that, I mean, I'm sure he knew about. So like I said, what I did is I just read book 1, the origin story. So even if you're like, I'm not really into that, just out of the 8-book series, I would definitely tell you to read the origin story. And then I jumped over to book 6, The Warlock. Okay. Now, why is this important? Is because if we shift from our books to our movies for this week, we actually got 2 movies for this week. We have Black Samurai, which is what the the Warlock became. So when they adapted it to movie version, it became Black Samurai with Jim Kelly. And then we also have the Tattoo Connection. Why two movies? Because I love Jim Kelly, don't get me wrong, but these movies are so bad that I figure um, two two bad movies will probably get us one good movie. So let's talk about the Black Samurai. All right. So this one came out and it's tough because again, I didn't see this in theater when I was younger, but and kind of getting the DVD and watching it and all that stuff. And everywhere I look, it's like some places say it came out in 1976, some places came out in 1977. I don't really know. And the other thing is, when these movies are released later on and they reissue them, they kind of build them or package them under different names. So this one is packaged on DVD as Black Terminator, and it's like what? So but like I said, it's based on book 6 of the Black Samurai series. And what it is um, Jim Kelly plays Robert Sand, who's the Black Samurai, and he's called on to save his girlfriend from a drug dealing, freakish, satanic cult leader. And that's the guy I was talking about in the book, who's kind of almost like again, almost like a Jeffrey Epstein type of guy. So who do you have in Black Samurai? You got, of course, the man himself, Jim Kelly, as Robert Sand. And then the only other person who was really from the Blaxploitation genre was Marilyn Joy. She plays a character called Sin. And I'll talk about that character in a minute. But excuse me, the everyone else is kind of either Asian or just someone who I just really wasn't not familiar with. But what I do want to show you, the movie itself, nowhere near as thrilling as the book. But the thing I do like is, if you take a look at this, try to get out the way a little bit. This is the movie over here on the there. That's the book over there. And if you kind of see when you look at it, they parallel a lot of the same things for the poster that they did for the book. Like that's the Warlock there, the kind of sicko freak guy. You see they got the girl. Now, if you look did it here, do you like, are those midgets or dwarves or little people? I don't know what the right word is, but yeah, they play a prominent part in this book. Is the Warlock himself? He has a gang and in the book he has a gang of different weird hanger oners followers. He got like these midget dudes that kind of like are henchmen for him that kill. He has this gay albino hitman. He has supposedly a wolf, human werewolf, wolfman type of thing. And I think it may be two in there, the way the character arc flows towards the end. So it's just like some crazy characters. But yeah, you could see the similarities between book 6 and the movie. Okay. But the thing about the movie itself is the book. The book, very gory, graphic. In the movie, and I know considering the time it was in the 70s, they didn't have the technology to do a lot of matching up. But a lot of the characters in the movie were watered down from how they were in the book. And I'll just give you an example. So the Warlock himself, you can look at the book, you can look at the poster, is in the book, he's like this bald kind of freako sick guy specializing in blood sacrifice orgies and bizarre sex rituals. But this is him. This is the guy who played the Warlock in this guy here. So he looks nowhere near like the guy described in the book or that's on the poster, the bald head guy. Marilyn Joy, like I said, she played a character named Sin, who was kind of like the Warlock. So this is the Warlock. She was his sexual weapon that he would use her to have sex with dudes and kind of mesmerize her or get them sprung out. But in the book, Sin has silver hair, silver lips, silver nails, long silver hair. Obviously, looking at Marilyn Joy, that's nowhere near character. And then, like I said, the he had a gay albino hitman named Bone. That's Bone there. That's the guy playing Bone. Not only looking at the garb, kind of looks a little gay. He actually reminds me of if you think of the old In Living Color movie, he reminds me of Damon Wayans' character in the Men on Film skits. But so looking at these three characters here, you could see they don't match up to what was in the book. So that's why I say they were watered down. And then, like I said, he had this supposedly human werewolves hit squad or whatever. Um, one of them was named Reinhardt. This is the guy that played Reinhardt, nowhere near a werewolf. Now, he is a midget, so I think what they might have just done is kind of because, like I said, in the book, dwarves, midgets, little people played a prominent part. So maybe they just kind of turned Reinhardt into one of the werewolf henchmen. So, I mean, not werewolf, one of the midget henchmen. But that is the movie. And for, I really, as far as scene wise, there's only one scene I pulled out of Black Samurai, and it's just because it just shows Jim Kelly being so cool. So let's take a look at this one real quick. So that's the best scene I can give you from Black Samurai and here's the thing about it. Jim Kelly has this like Ferrari and Robert Sand, the Black Samurai, has this Ferrari in the movie, like sweet car, and it's cool with Jim Kelly driving it. Car has no appearance in the book at all. So I don't know where they came up with that from when they adapted the movie. Just probably, again, Blaxploitation aspect of it, yeah, making it look really cool. But that was that. All right. So now, if we talk about the tattoo connection, and here's the thing about this: this one came out in 1978. So depending on who you talk to, many people will say the late 70s, Jim Kelly's career kind of flopped and went down. And looking at Black Samurai, Tattoo Connection, and there was another one he had called Death Dimension during the late 70s, which I haven't seen yet, but from the reviews I've seen, it's on my to get to list at some point. I'm not too excited about catching that one. But anyway, the Tattoo Connection came out in 1978. And in terms of trying to capitalize on Blaxploitation, there's some VHSs, maybe even DVDs, I'm not sure, that tried to pawn this off as Black Belt Jones 2. It is not Black Belt Jones 2. It has nothing to do, his character has nothing to do with Black Belt Jones from his earlier, and in my opinion, greatest work. But what this one is about is he played, or a diamond, an American diamond is stolen in Hong Kong. This dude from America arrives with this suitcase with the handcuff to his wrist. You don't know what's in it until it gets stolen, but he gets attacked by some the locals. They take the case, and then what it turns out is it was a diamond. And Jim Kelly plays this character called Lucas, which is funny because I don't even think he had a first name. Now, Lucas was his last name, and that's how he's referred to throughout the movie, as Lucas or as the black guy. So we don't even know what his first name is. But anyway, he is an insurance investigator sent to Tokyo to find and track down this diamond. Okay. Now, I will say this about the Tattoo Connection. It's not really a Blaxploitation movie as much as it is a karate movie with a Blaxploitation star in it. So we think back to the old karate movies from the 70s. It's a beautiful vehicle in that genre. The fight sequences are awesome. I'll show you one in a minute. We got the dubbing of the voices, so kind of like the traditional schlocky karate movie type of deal. But overall, it is, fight sequences better than Black Samurai. Good karate movie, not so much as a Blaxploitation movie. And so here is just an example of some of the fight scenes. So let's see.
You bunch of murderers. If you don't want to die, You better run away. You're gonna need all the help that you can get.
So you got a lot of action in there. And here's another thing about Tattoo Connection. Jim Kelly, even though, from our side of the seas, I would say on the American side of the seas, he was billed as the star. Not too sure about overseas because he really doesn't have a lot of screen. It doesn't show up in the movie until 15 minutes in. And then he doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but what he does have, he makes the most of it. Awesome fight sequences, and as always, Jim Kelly has a little bit of humorous edge to him. So here's a little scene that he's about to hook up with this girl, and the waiter in the waiter in the hotel room is hanging around a little too long. So check this one out.
You're a pretty girl.
Yes, she is beautiful.
He hit the bricks, man. Get out of here. Trying to get mine. But so yeah. And then, like I said, it was a good karate movie, great action scenes. And there's one more funny scene. This one had me cracking up. I'll tell you why it had me cracking up. Jim Kelly's not in this scene at all. But let me just show it, and then I'll tell you why it had me cracking up.
We eat one. Huh. You think this is a QE2? Where the hell do you think that you are? How do you dare to provoke me? Johnny, I'm gonna kill you!
So the dude that was holding the rabbits, like the other dude was the chef, like I guess on this boat or whatever. So they took his rabbits because they were like, "You've been feeding us canned food, we're gonna have rabbits too." But while he's holding the rabbit, he slams the rabbit down to the ground. That is not funny in terms of animal cruelty for those of you out there, but you could see when it hits the ground, you can see that it's a fake animal. But where the funny part that had me cracking up is when the chef goes to pick his rabbit up and he looks at it, you think, at least I thought, that he was going to be nursing it, kind of like, "Oh, my rabbit." And then he takes it and he's like mad and he just throws the rabbit down. So it's kind of like if the rabbit wasn't dead the first time, he's definitely dead the second time when the chef throws him down. So I just thought that was hilarious. But again, if we talk about the two movies, we got Black Samurai, Tattoo Connection together, or the Black Samurai and the Tattoo Connection together. The two bad movies can give you a pleasant viewing experience. So, but overall, neither of these is anywhere near Kelly's best work, which is Black Belt Jones, Hot Potato, which is the true sequel to Black Belt Jones, and Three the Hard Way, which he did with Fred Williamson and Jim Brown. So if you're like, you just want the best of Jim Kelly, go check out any of those three. But if you're just like, hey man, love karate or interested in karate, Blaxploitation, like Jim Kelly, Black Samurai, Tattoo Connection, worth checking out. So let's shift over to our music. But before we do, got to give a shout out to, again, our sponsor for the week, my man Vantana's for the big fellas. You could check out his eBay store at Vantana11, or you can scan that QR code down there. What he does is he has like hoodies, sneakers for the big fellas. So if you're like a XL to 4XL, he's got some really cool vintage sneakers and stuff I saw in the store. But even if you're not a big dude like me, I'm not that big, but he also has books and CDs in the hip hop genre as well as in the Blaxploitation genre. So, and vinyl and cassettes as well if you really want to go old school. So check them out. All right. But now let's shift over to our music. And our music for this week is the album Kung Fu Fighting and Other Great Love Songs by Carl Douglas. Now, many of us may know Carl Douglas from the classic all-time great song Kung Fu Fighting. But he really had more songs on this album beyond just kung fu fighting, but because that's what he was known for, or this album, it came out in the States in 1974 on 20th Century Records as Kung Fu Fighting and Other Great Love Songs. But because of the popularity of the song Kung Fu Fighting, it was actually billed and pushed in other countries, like throughout Europe, as just Kung Fu Fighter. That was the name of the album. And so because that's, again, most people only know Carl Douglas as a one-hit wonder for Kung Fu Fighting, but it has some other great songs on here, such as Witchfinder General. That's a really good song. He did do a sequel or follow-up to Kung Fu Fighting, and I'm pretty sure that probably was pressure by the record company to try to capitalize or continue capitalizing. So he had this follow-up song called Dance to Kung Fu, which is really good too. There's a funky instrumental on here called Blue Eyed Soul. And again, because he didn't just do upbeat funky songs, there were some slow love songs on here. There's one called Never Had This Dream Before. It's a beautiful song. And then my favorite on here is I Want to Give You My Everything, because that particular song almost reminds me like a club scene in a Blaxploitation movie, where like when you watch the bands playing in a Blaxploitation movie, that's what that particular song does. So I would encourage you, don't think of Carl Douglas as just Kung Fu Fighting. Go give the album a listen. You'll be pleasantly surprised. All right. So, Foxy Mamas and Cat Daddies, that's what I'm going to leave you with this week. If we do a quick recap, our books, the Black Samurai series by Marc Olden, an 8-book series, but if nothing else, check out book 1 to get the origin story. Our movies, Black Samurai starring Jim Kelly, as well as The Tattoo Connection. And then for music, go check out Carl Douglas's Kung Fu Fighting and Other Great Love Songs. All right. As always, if you have anything you want me to watch, listen to, read, send it to me. And I will catch you on the next one, Foxy Mamas and Cat Daddies. Peace.